Welcome to the podcast. My name is Lachlan Cross.
I'm Grant.
I'm Jimmy.
Today, Lucas Holt, Whale and the Wolf. They got a new single, so we chat with Luke. We got some history with Luke.
Mm-hmm.
I was in a band with him. Jimmy and I both worked with him at one point. You've met him a couple of times.
Oh, I've hung out with Lucas quite a bit, yeah.
Good Sasky boy.
Exactly. That's what we bond over.
So his band has a new single, so we chat with him. Funny interview, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I was always a big fan of Lucas, so that's on the podcast today. Enjoy!
Cruise FM presents The Locker Room with Lachlan Cross, Grant Johnson, and James White.
Brought to you by Always Plumbing and Heating. Thinking about a new furnace? Get a free quote at alwaysplumbing.ca.
You gotta come on.
Boom, 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 boom. Come on!
Bang, 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 bang.
Here we go.
Follow my finger.
I'm fine.
Did one of the eyes go?
I don't know. We're going to have to... We'll be the judge of whether or not we're dealing with concussed Jimmy or not.
Who went head first into a door on Friday
Yeah.
and then immediately flipped into third person.
Changed his speech pattern.
Jimmy hit head. Jimmy angry now. Yeah, that was a little crazy on Friday.
Jimmy does do a little, welcome to McDougal's, too, when he hits his head.
Friday's a bit of a blur, boys.
Yeah.
Friday's a bit
I
of a
don't know
blur.
why.
For all
Why did we get so drunk so quick?
I don't know.
Because I was blotto by 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and I was...
At least you went home.
Yeah.
And
There's a large scene missing in my life.
I went home. I remember vaguely someone trying to help me into an Uber.
Yeah, that was Kelly. Shout out to Kelly from Kelly's Pub. She
Yeah.
looped you into your van.
You know you're hanging out with Jimmy when the owner of a bar
Is slipping them into it.
Boosting him into a
is
van.
helping him into his ride home.
And then I did my late night Zoom thing sometime after that.
You actually managed to do that?
That's what I've been told.
I went home, went right to bed.
I went to the Pint. I got oodle noodle. I had a great night, apparently. I tried to have a fire back at the house.
The Locker Room topic of the day.
We're going to have a political conversation this morning based on the fact that they just announced Aaron O'Toole, who looks 15 years older than Trudeau, but is a year younger.
It's blowing your mind,
Still
hey?
can't believe that. I thought you were lying to me. Is Wiki wrong? You know how you can change Wiki? Is somebody trying to be funny?
I don't think so.
What Canadian actor would you be comfortable with voting in to run Canada? I don't think we're that far away. Hang on to yours, okay? Think about it. We'll get ours out of the way here in a minute. If you want to text us or call us at 780-989-0957, I think that we'll follow suit with the United States.
And have a famous
We'll have
leader.
a famous person. I'm not necessarily suggesting we'll have like a reality TV star like Trump is, but
I think the only difference is most of our Canadian actors live in the States, so do they really want to come back and be Prime Minister?
I think we're gonna have eventually. I think in my life, I think someone's going to be on the card.
We almost did. Kevin O'Leary.
Kevin O'Leary, yes. You're right. That's probably as close as we've gotten, isn't it?
Yep.
So think about it. Who would you vote for? Like a famous? It's got to be an actor, not just a famous person. Not Wayne Gretzky. Somebody that's like famous for being
Or an actress.
an actress. That's a good point. Although that list is a lot thinner.
It is, yeah.
There's a lot more famous male actors from Canada than that's just the numbers. Anyway, text us your thoughts.
The Locker Room topic of the day.
What Canadian actor or actress would you be comfortable voting for to run Canada? 780-989-0957. We'll go around the horn. I'll mention one that's already come in quite a few times, and I think it's just because I really like this guy, is Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, yeah.
I just think he's just...
Be a solid choice.
Yeah, and he's funny, right? Like
Charismatic.
I would vote for him right now over anybody that we have potentially running. Would you? Would you vote for Ryan Reynolds?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It'd be awesome to have Deadpool running the country. Right?
All right. We'll do
Congress
yours,
with the
Jimmy, because
swords.
yours will be disappointing.
Michael J. Fox, actually, because he's a very well-known actor from back in the day, but he's also very outspoken.
He's quite sick, though.
But
That's the problem.
But
Like,
he still
he needs to worry
dealing
about
with
his
that.
health.
He runs a well-known charity organization for the disease that he has, and
Like I said, disappointing.
Grant gonna hate mine.
Okay.
Brendan Fraser.
Oh, Jesus.
Out of work for several years, comes out of nowhere and becomes prime minister. I would totally vote for him. The Mummy?
No. Didn't the Mummy kill his chance of a career?
No way. Encino
anything?
Man?
In anything?
Come on. George of the Jungle?
All right.
The locker room topic of the day.
Again, I'll say it again. I think we will eventually vote in a famous actor or actress into politics. Whether or not they become a prime minister may not happen, but I think it's going to happen soon. We're going to follow suit with the United States. I don't know why I think that. I just think it's going to become a trend.
Something you're thinking of.
Everybody that they bring up that has a chance of beating Trump is somehow famous in the state too, right?
Although in Canada, there's been a couple somewhat famous people try and failed. Kevin O'Leary.
Yeah.
George Canyon tried to run for politics.
Oh, did he?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
He ran last election.
Maybe he should stop singing. Maybe people would vote for him if he
Maybe.
quit singing the anthem. 780-989-0957. We are getting some good suggestions, though.
Couple times Mike Myers is coming.
This one's, I'm torn with Mike because I love his movies and I kind of like him. Like, I think he actually is I think he's a real proud Canadian as well. Mm-hmm. The problem is he doesn't have a very good reputation in the business.
No, I was going to say, from his SNL days, a lot of the former cast members don't talk highly of him.
He was
He wasn't fun to work with on SNL.
Apparently he was a bit of a dick.
Yeah.
Which is, you know what though, can we give him a bit of a pass on that? Because I have also heard, like, I'm fascinated with Saturday Night Live because I've watched it forever. And anytime I hear anybody, like if somebody's on a podcast, for instance, that had a run, even if it was just a couple of years, I'll listen to it.
Yeah.
Because I'm curious about the stories. I've always been fascinated by that group, right? And the people who've gone through the ringer. And it does sound like it was set up in such a way back in the day where they pitted the writers and
True.
the actors against each other.
Well, and
when you create that competitive kind of environment, sometimes it brings out the worst in people.
They put the cast against each other, too.
Yeah.
And actually, I heard somebody talking recently about how they made because it was cutthroat, and you were always trying to get your sketches on.
Yeah.
And so you'd sabotage each other. So, yeah, that could just bring out that side of you.
Yeah, whether or not he is a dick like day to day, or was that forced out of him based on sort of a need to survive, right?
Competition.
Yeah.
The locker room topic of the day.
If there was a actor or actress that took a run at politics, who would it be that you would be comfortable voting to run the country? 780-989-0957.
People are texting in Dwayne Johnson, The Rock.
Well, they're probably
Who's-
confused by the fact that he played in the CFL, no?
His dad was from Nova Scotia, I guess.
What? Okay, I didn't
Rocky Johnson.
I didn't know that.
But I don't think Dwayne has, it doesn't say anything about him having dual citizenship.
If your parents were born somewhere, don't you have to be? How does that work?
No, if your parents are you can get dual citizenship. Like if one of your parents is born in the States or whatever, you can get dual citizenship.
Does one have to be from Canada and one have to be from the United States for you to get both?
I don't know how that works.
Yeah, I'm not sure how it works.
it depends where you're born, where you live.
Because
Yeah.
getting an American citizenship, if you move from Canada to the United States, and then you're down there for so many years, and you get your American citizenship, that's different than dual.
Yeah,
There's some
you
kind
can
of
still-
born
no, you-
in, or dad was, or I don't know what the
You
hell
can
it
still
is.
get dual citizenship then, that way. I have friends that have, I know people that are dual.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I thought it had to
No,
have
if
some
you
kind
move,
of birth line.
I have American friends who
But that's
moved from the
different.
States to Canada.
That's
and they're
not
still,
dual.
Yeah, it is. It's two passports. It's dual citizenship. It's a thing.
I thought there was something different between.
You're talking about like if my parents.
I'm Canadian. All my family's Canadian. My
Yeah.
girls are Canadian. I moved to the States. I get an American passport. That's not dual.
To get a passport, you have to be an American citizen. Yes, you'd have two passports then. You'd be dual citizenship.
But you'd have a
Don't you
visa. You'd
relinquish?
have a visa to be down to the States. You'd have to live down there for.
You have to live down there for a long time.
A long time
Yeah.
for you to be.
I think I don't know why I think that. I thought there was something different between a birth line thing. Anyway, we could talk about it forever.
Yeah,
you know what we should do though? We should get Jimmy to explain it to everybody because that won't piss me off at all.
The locker room topic of the day.
So, at some point, I think we're going to be dealing with a famous Canadian, an actor or actress that takes a run at leadership in Canada. Who would you be comfortable voting for? 780-989-0957.
Scuba Steve is going to vote for Drake when he runs. One thing I like about Drake,
The problem is Drake's the guy that will.
the one thing I do like about Drake is he's super famous. He's one of the most famous people in the world, one of the richest musicians in the world, artists or whatever. But he still lives in Canada.
He still lives in
Still
Toronto.
goes to all the Raptor games. Yeah, like he has a massive house in Toronto, and he still lives there full time.
I think the world, like, that celebrity world is kind of changing a little bit. Mm-hmm. In that you can still sort of. It used to be if you did not move to New York or Los Angeles, you might as well. You had to settle on not being famous.
You might not take off.
You may never.
You'd
But I
be,
think
be
that's
Canadian famous, but that was about it.
Yeah, I think that's changing now. I think that's going to be something that changes even more. Because living in Los Angeles and living in New York is not feasible anymore.
Yeah.
It's like Canada. Vancouver. You can't just move to Vancouver. Mm-hmm. There is no way. It's very difficult.
Unless you're Drake.
Unless you're Drake, unless you're already famous. You know what I'm
he
saying?
has houses all over the place.
Yeah, I'm sure he does. But
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, you can't just go rent a place in Vancouver and try to break into the radio business.
Yeah.
You'll starve, right? It's impossible nowadays, right? And Los Angeles and New York are the same way.
Yeah.
It's impossible to live there. You can't. You might be living with 15 other people to make it feasible enough as a starving actor or actress to break in, right?
But Drake could have, and he still chooses to live in Toronto.
Yeah. Because he had a bit of an acting thing at the beginning, didn't he?
He's Jimmy from Degrassi.
The one in the wheelchair, right?
Yeah, Wheels.
Yeah. Oh, that's what they called him?
No.
That wasn't...
No.
The locker room topic of the day.
Good morning, Cruz. You phoning about the topic?
I am. I have 2 words for you.
Okay.
Red, green.
So remember, if women don't find you handsome, they should at least find you handy.
Is he still alive?
Steve Smith is still alive.
I would
Yes,
totally vote for Red Green.
I think you just
And
won the
funny thing-
topic. We don't have a prize, but I think you just won. What's your name, man?
It's the Hammer.
3, 2,
The Locker Room's Midget at the Movies.
I shall call him Mini. I will not be ignored.
It's like Minute at the Movies, but shorter.
Jimmy, what movie did you watch?
Milk.
And I know you can't live on hope alone. But without hope, life is not worth living. So you, and you, and you gotta give him hope. You gotta give him hope.
Did you cry?
Okay, before I get into this movie, have either of you tools watched this?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I have.
never watched it.
It's a really famous movie. Sean Penn
It was a
won-
big movie.
Sean Penn won Academy Award for Best Actor in this one.
This is one of those movies that I would have gone to the theater to see, but that passed, so I never did. Like, it wasn't one that I rented or anything like that, right?
Like, it really did have some really interesting parts in the movie. Sean Penn, as Grant said, did a great job in his character. That really
It's
stood out more than...
essentially a true story,
It's,
right?
It's based on a true story, yes.
Yeah.
So even the ending, like the assassination was because it was another political opponent that killed him? Was that true?
It was the guy that he beat out. So he was so Sean Penn's character actually beat him out. Harvey Milk actually beat Josh Brolin in the.
Yeah. And so that's true.
That's
then
true.
He was. I know he was assassinated.
Then Josh Brolin's character walked in, killed the mayor, and killed him.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Crazy. It's kind of a crazy story.
So yeah, like it was a very well made movie. I have to give you that. It's not my cup of tea 100%. But one thing that I really liked about the movie is they fought for what they believed in. They fought against discrimination. They wanted to prove a point that they, that group had rights. And that's a really, really strong aspect when dealing with this movie. I
think if I could be any actor, like have their life, Sean Penn might be up there.
He's a little wingy, though.
Yeah, that's what I like about him. He's out there. He's weird. Like, one minute he's making, he'll make a blockbuster movie, and then he makes some weird underground movie, and then all of a sudden he's interviewing El Chapo in Mexico.
Yeah. Well, he's the reason why he got caught, I think. I'm surprised Sean Penn hasn't been offed.
When El Chapo was busted out of prison,
he's an interesting guy.
Sean Penn went and interviewed him because El Chapo wanted to make a movie about his life. And
so I have a quick Sean Penn story. And again, he was very difficult to deal with when we had him at the Pan Pacific Hotel. He was filming a movie when I was working at the Pan and going to radio school back in the early 90s.
Yeah.
I can't remember what movie he was filming, but he was in Vancouver for a couple of months. So he wanted a gym. No, he wanted a pull-up bar. And
in his room?
He asked them to put one in the room, and they said no, because they would have had to put holes in the wall. Mm-hmm. So he hired somebody
to come in and do it.
And did it anyway.
Awesome.
And then they just paid he just paid the damages, right? Yeah. So I remember that specifically about him. And also short.
Yeah, he's 5'8".
Bigger, but he looked diminutive. You always think these guys are big, right?
Right, when you see them on screen, you think they're
And then you actually see them. I remember seeing him walking around the hotel, and I was like, geez, he's tiny.
They're always way skinnier than you think, too.
Yeah, that's a Hollywood thing, too, right?
The locker room topic of the day.
We kind of let the discussion go, but then one came in from Mitch that I really liked. We were talking about if a famous actor or actress ran for politics, who would you be comfortable voting to run the country? 780-989-0957.
Keanu Reeves.
Yes. You know what? Keanu Reeves is an excellent one. And I think maybe it's because people forget that he is Canadian.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of those guys that's kind of he slips underneath the radar a little bit, but that's right, he is Canadian.
And he's a very famous Canadian. Everybody knows who he is.
Yes. But do
internationally?
We instantly know he's Canadian, though?
Well, he was born not in Canada, so maybe people don't associate, right?
But
he was born in Lebanon and then
moved here and then went to school here and has a Canadian passport?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know that. I knew he was. I knew he had some ties to Canada.
So maybe that's why people don't. Yeah.
I like Keanu.
Oh, I love him.
Anytime you hear any stories too about him, like that story about the bus, he was stuck on a bus.
No, that was the movie Speed. that was fake, Lachlan.
No, that was. No. Was it a bus where they had to fly somewhere and then something was shut down, and then they had to take a bus to the hotels or whatever, and he was kind of entertaining.
Good story.
Great story.
He had to take a bus one time.
Almost as good as your story. Never mind.
No, but Jimmy and I are thinking of the same thing. We're not relaying it well, I guess is the way to put it.
You guys both got concussions and watched Speed this weekend.
You're in the locker room on 95.7 Cruise FM.
I don't want it to be negative because I do hope, and I actually think that at some point we're going to get to a normalcy from what we used to have. I don't think this is the life we are going to live for the rest of our lives, right? Mm-hmm. Where we're hiding in our homes and wearing masks, and I think we'll get back to some sense of normalcy down the road. I don't know how long. I thought
you were saying we were going to be in Commonwealth Stadium all summer watching the Eskimos.
I thought
I didn't think the Olympics were going to get canceled.
Well, exactly. Yeah. So there's a lot of surprises.
Yeah.
So there is a new normal, and whether or not that becomes the new normal, that's another question. But I think we have to adapt, and a lot of businesses are, to this normal, right? Mm-hmm. And drive-thrus seem to be a thing. Like I saw a story that last week about drive-thrus in the States for strip clubs.
Yep.
They got drive-through
Awesome.
churches, right, where you drive up, and they're bringing drive-in movie theaters back. Like
Well,
those things are popping up again.
Concerts where you go just sit in your car and watch the concerts. I mean, we've had those in Edmonton.
Comedy shows.
Comedy shows.
Yeah. The River Cree had an outdoor drive-in theater with Kessel or whatever
Brett
it is.
Kissel, yeah.
Yeah. So I think the drive-in thing is going to be more of a trend. I mean, it's stupid to say that out loud, but I think it is. And we're seeing it with restaurants too. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of businesses, like that Peter's Drive-In, which was just south of us here where we are, where our office is. And that, when that opened up, it's a little calmer now. But remember, because all they had open was the drive-through.
Yeah.
And it was nuts.
Oh, it was insane.
We couldn't get into our parking lot.
It was blocking us from getting into the parking garage. It was just absolutely crazy. You saw the Taco Bell thing that I sent you, Grant?
Yeah, so they're actually building like new restaurants specifically with like drive up and then the bellhops, like the old school back when you were a teenager.
Like the A&W.
Yeah. Yeah, so like
I'm not that old.
You sit in your car, then they roller skate out to you and take your order and serve you your food.
Remember that. We did that once when I was
Tabor.
a kid. No, that was Winnipeg, but yeah.
I remember there was a place.
And it was A&W.
When you guys were done with the sock hop.
Stop it. A&W used to do this. That's
Yeah, they were
exactly
the
right.
famous ones
And they
for it.
had them on roller skates.
And they put
Yeah.
the tray on
Yeah.
you know, my favorite moment of that ever is
and this song was playing all
Chevy
the time.
Chase.
Monday, Tuesday, happy days.
Fonzie and the gang would go down there with you guys.
and at 3:00 there'd be a rumble.
This is Fake News with Grant Johnson.
And late last night, the tire fire was lit. The black smoke signaling to us that a new leader of the Conservative Party had been chosen. Aaron O'Toole has been chosen to lead the fight against Trudeau and his fancy sock gang. O'Toole's first official duty as the new leader of the Conservative Party of Canada will be making the pilgrimage to Tabor, Alberta in a parade of black Dodge Ram trucks. And once there, he will pay his respects at the tomb of Preston Manning before joining local leaders in a feast of Tabor corn and Lay's chips.
Rest in peace, Preston.
Shortly after the tire fire was lit, our very own Lachlan Cross started leading the charge to get Aaron O'Toole to show us his birth certificate, as he doesn't believe there's any chance that he's 47 years old, 1 year younger than Justin Trudeau. Where's your birth certificate? Show it to us. Before running for leadership, O'Toole actually had a successful acting career playing Archie Bunker in the sitcom All in the Family. Aaron O'Toole's slogan going into the next election, whenever that is, has already been chosen for him. It's a simple one, too. Aaron O'Toole, I've never committed a crime. The Locker Room Fake News is brought to you by waterbeds. Do you like motion sickness and causing a tsunami every time you roll over? Try a waterbed today.
And now, Nerd News with James P. White the First.
Can I set this up?
Sure.
Because as soon as I saw that trailer, and I know Grant had a very similar thought that I did, I was like, Jimmy's going to hate this. Mm-hmm. Because it's not the typical superhero. They're taking a step away from what you would expect from that, and they've made it gritty. And
They're doing it very
The Batman.
But they're doing it very similar to the way they did the Michael Keaton's Batman, because it was at the beginning it was really dark, and that was Batman. Like, Batman wasn't a superhero. He's a vigilante that ended up joining a crime-fighting group and superheroes. But he was a vigilante. He, right from the beginning, he fought because of the criminals that killed his parents.
He had a crystal
He got
up his
vengeance. No, he
And
was
I
going
think
for
that's
vengeance.
why I like Batman. Is 'cause
Maybe
it's-
that's why I like him, too.
Even the villains are, I mean, the Joker's not casting magical spells on you, and like, you know what I mean?
But you didn't like the Joker, the latest one with what's his?
I said I liked it, but
Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah.
I said it. I liked it, but it didn't kind of match.
And you got
the
mad
other.
when Grant and I said, "I hope that's where the franchise goes." That feel. This looks like that's what they're doing.
This was a strong feel to it. I didn't get the guy with the duct tape to his face, but it's just that at the beginning.
Can you explain to me why there's 6 different
Bane, isn't
Batmans
it?
right now, though? Because at the same time that they're like the Batman, Robert Pattinson,
Yeah.
they're also like Ben Affleck returning to play the Batman.
But that's totally
that's because Robert Pattinson.
But that's the Justice League, and they're doing we talked about this alternate universe and
That's
stuff like that. That's
hold on.
different movies.
I know exactly what's happening here because they probably sat Robert Pattinson down, talked him into doing a Batman movie, and he probably looked at it and went, "I can make this cool. I can do this. This isn't going to destroy my career. Just make sure there's no nipples on the costume, okay?
Make sure Arnold Schwarzenegger
and then
is
they
far
came
away
to him
from
and
it.
said, "Oh, by the way, how do you feel about doing the new Flash one?" And he went, "No,
Yeah, he
I
probably
am not
said like,
doing a Flash movie.
I'll do a dark, gritty Batman.
Yes,
I'll do a like Joker, like Joaquin Phoenix.
exactly.
But I'm not going to stand next to Aquaman in the Justice League.
Aquaman." Okay,
Do
that's
you think there's some
exactly what
truth to
happened
that?
here.
I can
No,
see that.
that isn't
And
what
Michael
happened here.
Keaton's out of money.
No, it's because
he's trying to pay for his apartment in New York, and Ben Affleck is completely his career is completely shot, so he can sign up for
what
anything.
they're doing is they're doing it where they're revisiting old Batmans, like because it's going to be it's a multiverse. So they're using old character Batmans is what they're doing in this Flash movie, but not in.
Why
this,
not George Clooney then? Why Ben
'Cause-
Affleck, who didn't fit in the costume?
Yeah. What about Christian Bale?
Exactly.
We haven't heard about it all. It's not coming out till next year
Because
for crying out loud.
he is standing next to Aqualad and Aquaman.
Yeah.
Aquaman!
Fight you both.
Hey, by the way, here's
That
what
Batman looks awesome, though.
It does
does
look
look
good.
How cool does the
But why are we
Batmobile-
seeing a trailer for a movie that might not be out until next fall? That annoys me.
No, it's
build the
because
hype.
the whole reason why a bunch of these movies, the trailers came out, is because they had their nerd conference, but it was an online thing, and so usually at these nerd conferences they have all these teaser trailers come out.
Okay, what's this? The HBO series, Gotham PD.
No, don't stop.
because
Because I don't want him to nerd
But
on.
here's what I
something
read
else
was
here.
that the Batman with Robert Pattinson takes place in year 2 of Batman. So we're not going to see like his transformation. And he's already the Batman, but this Gotham PD is like year 1, and it's some sort of HBO show.
I haven't heard about that one yet.
What?
Good. Okay.
How did I hear about that?
You're in the locker room with Lachlan Cross, Grant Johnson, and James White. 95.7 Cruise FM.
So they are building, it's not a wall, it's a fence on the Canadian-U.S. border. Now,
Yeah.
it's not going to go all the way across.
It's just 2 kilometers.
It's just 2K in BC, right?
Yeah, I guess there's a spot in BC that's known. They say known for smugglers crossing over. There's 2 roads that go parallel along the border.
What are you smuggling, though?
I don't know.
Krispy Kreme?
Anything you want, I guess. Drugs, people.
But don't we have the...
Krispy Kreme? Yeah. Vanilla Coke.
Guns. You can get an AR-15 easier in the States than you can here.
Yeah, I'm sure there's lots of stuff they want to smuggle across the border.
I guess so.
People get busted all the time trying to take stuff across the border. So,
My
they're
grandmother,
putting up like this
I
2
shouldn't be
kilometer
s-
fence.
Shouldn't be saying, but God rest her soul, she's passed since. She was a snowbird.
Yeah.
So she used to go down to the States all the time. She had a place in Arizona for years. So her and Grandpa used to go down, and they owned a campground. And you have a little store in your campground, right?
Yeah.
Hislips Highway Campground. And they would come back they'd go to Mexico. So they'd cross 2 borders. And you could buy American cigarettes in Mexico
Oh, I
for
bet
cheap.
that's something that gets smuggled across.
Yeah. So she'd go down and she'd fill her motorhome full. Like they'd come back. I can't believe she never went to jail. So that's how they made money. They made good money because they would sell it at Canadian prices, right? And half the time she was selling American cigarettes bought in Mexico.
and bringing them back and selling them at our campground.
Yes!
Yeah.
So basically,
That happens a lot in BC, though. When I lived in Vancouver, there was a corner store by my house, and they had all the American pops and snacks and stuff. And they'd go down to the States and load